right, Burton. Well, welcome back to the show, my friend. Good to see you again.
Likewise, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year's, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, you as well. I don't care when this comes out. They can hear Happy New Year, right? It's always
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
we're gonna kill it. Everybody's gonna kill it 2022, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to help them do that. So that's a good segue. So before Zach and I dive in here, we've been screaming for, I don't know, Zach and I for 5, 6, 7 years now that we don't bring guests on the show. And frankly, we don't ever bring someone to an event or a personal training with the Wicked Smart community unless we're in the trenches with them. We've used them. We've vetted them out. To say that we've done that with you guys is an understatement. We're fully engulfed in your system. So with that as a preempt, Zach, let's dive in here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're excited because having you at the event is going to allow people to see, what we're currently doing. So in case people have not, utilized PropStream before, maybe we can just start with something basic. Like, tell us exactly what PropStream is from your perspective, and that way, those that dive in a little bit further will know what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. So about 16 years ago, 2006, PropStream saw an opportunity, and that was to go collect the data that you were physically collecting, right? Usually on a weekly basis, investors prior to technology would spend anywhere between a day to 3 days to go scrape data just so they can get it in their pipeline to make phone calls to get these leads to come in. As a matter of fact, it became such a priority that they would hire what we would call, and you might have heard this term, boots on the ground, right? So they would hire someone to actually go get those records on their behalf because they knew that their time was more important making phone calls and getting in front of that homeowner. That is what PropStream is doing. For the last 16 plus years, we're scraping data from the county, from mortgage providers, from lenders, and third-party service providers so that we can get you data at the comfort of your office, right? So rather than spending that day or 2 or 3 just to get data and then filter it manually, you're doing that within PropStream. So within 5 to 15 minutes, you have the same list from the source that you're originally getting it many years ago. And that's what we do. We help you with our data to generate leads and analyze the properties when they call back because they want to sell.
Zach, little context just so we can, I wanted to throw this in here. So maybe you could address in high level the 3 sort of pillars that we work on, because this event's different. This is so applicable to what Burton does. So you want to just maybe hit that as we're segueing here with Burton.
Yeah, of course. So, we focus on 3 things: mindset, skill set, and system. So when we talk about Burton, we're talking about our systems here. And also it comes with a skill set. And as you were talking about people having to have boots on the ground and go pull data, I'm thinking to myself, like, I am so glad that I do not live in that world. Chris, maybe you did live in that world, but I don't and haven't. So, because it's so easy for me just to log on the PropStream and pull a bunch of data in like 15 seconds. So it is. So as we're having this conversation, maybe those in the past or older folks, I had to do that, but I'm just so glad I didn't. So with PropStream, Burton, I mean, to not be naive, you're not the only one of the companies out there that does this. So I'd want to know what separates PropStream from other companies that are pulling data for investors or realtors or other real estate professionals.
That's a great question. And you're absolutely right. There's a lot of data aggregators in our space, but I think what really makes us unique is that we're really involved and we ask a lot of questions with our users. And what we've discovered is that with our data, users not only wanted to build a list that they can get access to at the county without having to go get it themselves, but to be able to manipulate that data. And this is where I think PropStream stands tall amongst everybody else, is that you can look at our system kind of like if you were going to a buffet in Las Vegas, right? There's really anything that you can think of in terms of a property or a homeowner situation can be created within PropStream. So rather than just going after, let's say, a pre-foreclosure list or a lien list, maybe you can look for someone who has 3 mortgages and the house is vacant, or someone whose property is really old, but they're in an HOA environment that might get on their case and maybe give them a lien in the near future. So this is the thing that I believe makes us completely different compared to everybody else. Now, don't get me wrong. You can use PropStream in the traditional sense where you can log in, pull up a market, and we have nearly 24 categories that you can start with. But to me, it's the ability to take the 120 plus filters and manipulate them in a way that I can create my own unique situation that no one else can find on a list, because it just does not exist on a list. And I believe that's what separates us from everybody else in our space.
So I got a small question for actually, Zach, you'll have an opinion too. So I want to get this. I'm thinking of the Wicked Smart listeners. Mm-hmm. We've got people that want to be an investor. We've got brand new investors, solopreneur. We've got people building massive teams. So does PropStream apply and sort of serve every single level? Is there anyone that it wouldn't serve? And then Zach could more put himself in their shoes as a listener and go, yeah, here's what I would do if I was that size or that size. So thoughts on that from both of you guys?
That's a great question. And so we are very aware that there's different levels of investors. As you mentioned, you have your ones that just started today, and you have your seasoned investors that have been around for quite some time. We have investors that have been using us since our day one, 16 years ago. So our system does caretake to that in many ways. First, we caretake that to the amount of records that you can pull on a monthly basis. For someone that's starting, our first plan option gives you 10,000 records every month. And we feel that for an individual, a solopreneur, as you mentioned, that is way more than enough record they should get to hopefully get their business going. Now, as you get better at this, as your team grows, PropStream does have a package where you can get up to 100,000 records every month. So if you're producing and you just need more records to get that pipeline packed and get it coming in, then yes, I would recommend that you upgrade. And we have plans in between as well. Now, for those that are new, we also have resources like our help videos, our PropStream Academy that teaches you everything PropStream. And for those that are seasoned, come join us on a live webinar where you can ask any question related to PropStream and we'll address that for you right then and there. We'll even show you some tips and tricks that you may not have known about PropStream. So this is how we believe we can support those either that are starting or in an advanced position of investing.
That's awesome, because one of my questions later was going to be, how do people best use PropStream? But you nailed it. I mean, if you're just getting started and this is one of the first technologies you've ever used or databases, the amount of videos or ability to hop on a webinar is extremely important, similar to what we do for our investors as well, or our associates or students out there, is by providing that content so somebody can consistently study and become better and better at this. Looking at from our Wicked Smart community, or even our internal real estate investing company, it started with me just getting used to the software or getting used to the database, pulling records in order to support or to continue to bring in new leads, and utilizing some technology that you guys have as well, like postcards and text messages and emails and things along those lines as well. But then as we grew as a team, so if you're moving from solopreneur to team, we now have a dedicated person that handles all of our admin or different stacks. So like PropStream, FreedomSoft, and other things like that. Our Print Genie is another one that we use as well, in order to make sure that we're consistently bringing in leads. So as you grow as the entrepreneur, this can 100% be filled by somebody that does admin. And I say that because it's simple to use. And one other piece that I use it for that we didn't bring up yet is just the ability to analyze the market, like by searching comparables or values in a neighborhood when I'm looking at a property, or to look at comps across the board. Maybe you could speak to that as well, because that is something that as an investor in our space, I'm always looking for data to compare a property that I'm trying to buy. And the fact that you put together, or by selecting certain properties, you can put together a nice PDF version of comps and comparables.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, besides pulling up a market, getting all the data that we've scraped for you and manipulating that data, as you mentioned, Zach, we have some amazing tools like our heat map, shows you estimated values in a market you might not be familiar with, or the growth over time in that market. Or if you're a buy and hold investor, we'll show you what the rent prices are in that market. So you can pinpoint exactly where in a city or a zip code you should be focusing your operation on. Another thing that I personally like about it is not only do you have the capability of using these tools to find your search, but we have tools that allow you to organize it by zip code. So you can search a market, pull up all the cash buyers or all the flippers in our flippers list, and then organize it by zip code. So you know which zip codes to go after right then and there. So again, I'm a firm believer. Our system has quite a lot to offer in terms of generating leads. But when it comes to analyzing a property, this is the second part of PropStream that's very, very important. We discovered that generating leads and getting the pipeline built is one fundamental of your business. The other fundamental is what happens when they call you back. So we thought about it and we realized, okay, what do you need when they call you back? And the four things that we provide you is exactly what we believe you need. Property details. So you'll know the beds, bathrooms, year built, if it's an HOA, the school district, and so forth. Second, mortgage information. You'll know if it has one or up to 4 mortgage, or if it's free and clear. You'll even know the mortgage lender, so you can talk upon that with credibility. The third is what we call situational data. So we can tell you if the property has a lien, filed a divorce, a bankruptcy, is in pre-foreclosure, has multiple properties under their name. And the fourth and final thing, Zach, is what you mentioned, is the ability to look at what's sold recently around that property. So that not only can you comp, but more importantly, so you can educate that homeowner who doesn't know what you know. And I'm sure most of you guys have spoken to a homeowner who only wants full price, but they don't realize what it takes to get the property to sell at full price. With PropStream, you can not only look at our local data, but you can see the photos of what's sold and determine if that price was an after repair value or not, and then print that report out, just like you said, Zach, with the photos. So as you're talking to the homeowner, you can educate them as to why you're not providing them that price that they want, but more of the price that you need to get it at and go from there. So thank you for bringing that up. It is another important aspect of PropStream. And as you mentioned, to be able to search an individual property and analyze it and to comp it, but to also do it on a nationwide level. So if that homeowner in your market says, nope, I'm talking about a property in a different state, we have you covered as we're not region locked. You can search any property within PropStream in the United States.
What I want to do, guys, just insert a couple things these guys to do, and then go back to you guys and see if there's anything we left uncovered. Because here's a couple of things. As I'm listening to the two of you in this conversation in general, there's a lot of meat here, a ton of it, and it's good for someone to hear it. And we're going to give them a link and then go to that webinar, Burton. But it's also cool to come to the event, hear from other, we call them associates, other students, just like you, the wicked smart listener, and understand what they're doing and how that's bopping and weaving. Because it's okay to go to a seminar or a webinar, but when you come and you immerse yourself in an event and you see how it's being done over and over and over, we're in the trenches. Zach's on the system every day and or his team. So we know what's going on. A lot of the nuances, a lot of the stuff you don't get out of just a regular quote unquote presentation. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to do. One is go to smartrealestatecoach.com/PropStream. If you want to go ahead and get access to some of that info that Burton mentioned, you can do that and you can dive into it and be ahead of the game before the event. But by all means, do that and come to the event and you'll have a little bit of a sort of a foundation built. Zach, anything you want to add to that? And then we'll see if we left something uncovered with Burton, we'll hammer that away.
The last thing is just we wrap up. I'm thinking of our Wicked Smart community and how we buy and sell real estate every single day. And those 4 items are the things that we need to know on a day-to-day basis. And typically, and I would even say that we need to know some more of that information than your other traditional buyers, especially if they're coming in with cash or they're going to go get their own, or they're going to go get bank financing. We're buying things on terms. So understanding liens and understanding how many mortgages are there, or the current mortgage, or the current mortgages that are on the property, the current balance, and just understanding where the market's trending, especially because the deals that we're doing are long-term deals, are super important. And I just had one final question, Chris. So after, if there's anything else you want to add before, I'm just more of a curious question as we run into this, run towards the end of this podcast.
No, I'm good. Fire away. I don't want to break your concentration. You want to roll.
No, so I was just curious because you have so much data across the board, and we get asked this question all the time about where's the market trending. I was just curious because you have so much data. Like, what is the data telling you about maybe the next 12 months? And or what type of trends are you seeing? It could be nationally that our investors should be noticing right now.
Well, that's a great question. I think the obvious is there, where there's a scarcity of inventory nationwide. This is why we're seeing prices the way they are today. In terms of like where I personally see the trend is going in the next 12 years, I think we're still going to head in that direction where we're going to still have some scarcity in terms of inventory, and these prices may continue to rise a little bit. I don't think they're going to rise as dramatically as they did in the last 2 years, but I still see a trend in some increase in price point. Although I might say that it might maybe start like settling a little bit, only because more and more people are being able to go out. You're seeing more and more people in our space. People are getting more leads out there in their market. So I personally believe that in the next 12 years, we're going to be healthy. I think as a community in general, those that are investing today are still going to be able to find themselves in a good standing in a year from now. They'll be able to look back and say, hey, we made great profit and we're doing really well this year, and continue that year. I don't see any indication of things going south, but again, this is my opinion, to take it as far as you can.
No, we're taking it as fact. Everybody heard it. So if things don't go the way you think it is, call PropStream, call Burton.
And here's the thing: it's so tricky to even catch trends because prior to the pandemic in March of 2020, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, but everybody, maybe January and February of 2019, probably thought the same thing, which is, how is this going to impact the housing market, right? I'm sure I wasn't the only one who thought, man, these listings are going to stay a lot longer on the market. People are not going to be moving in. And boy, were we wrong, right? In the last nearly 2 years, I've just seen this with price point. I'm seeing homes that are on the market getting offered 10, 20% over asking price in cash. And so it's really hard to say what may happen. But in terms of the data that we have and the way it's trending, it looks like it's heading in a good direction still. Again, we don't know if there are going to be any external variables that might make that go in a different direction, like the pandemic, right? Where we thought it was going to go down, but it actually skyrocketed. So that's how I see it. Again, it's hard to capture what may happen, but so far, based on the data, it looks like it's going to be a healthy year for most investors.
Burton, that was perfect, because if you did know for certain, the three of us would probably, or if all three of us knew, we wouldn't have to be on the podcast. We're in the beach somewhere.
Well, I just would have shut off the recording, and then we could have just continued the conversation so Bert could tell us the inside secrets.
But I will say, Zach, we'd be remiss, we'd do a disservice to the Wicked Smart listener listening right now if we didn't mention how everything you guys just said, the chaos, the unpredictability, the miscalculation of all investors, what's the best niche to be in? We're biased. We think it's the terms niche. It was built after the crash to weather storms, thrive in storms, and it's done that. Do we fish in different ponds with the data? Yeah, that's where PropStream comes in. But we still thrive because that's why it was built. We just structure deals differently. If you want to get into something that, and you're not presently in our niche, that is as recession resistant as possibly can be, you're in the right spot. We'd love to see you guys on March 31st and April 1st, wickedsmartsummit.com.